Refinement. My name is Chris, and I earn a full-time living selling stuff online. In this episode, I'm going to give you guys 3 business models that earn $10,000 a month selling stuff online on websites like eBay, Amazon, Poshmark, Mercari. I personally have done 2 of these models, and I'm working on the 3rd. And the advice that people who can't do it teach it is garbage. People who have done it can definitely teach you how they do it. In fact, this is not rocket science. There are thousands, maybe tens of thousands of people who earn way more than 6 figures selling stuff online. And you can tell because if you look at the largest stores, when you research these different websites, Amazon alone has 100,000 people who earn $100,000 or more. That's just Amazon. eBay has been around a little bit longer, and then Poshmark and Mercari are new, but the first lady that reached 7 figures in sales on Poshmark already exists. So even on these new platforms, there are people earning $10,000 a month net. And I'm going to go over 3 different models. Please like, comment, and subscribe which model you are after in the section below. And if you like this content, of course, like, comment, and subscribe so other people can find this. I appreciate it. Let's get straight into it. So the first model is the boutique model. And this is the least common way to earn $10,000 a month. And I'll get into it why. I'm also going to go over my good friend Tina, the Soul Advisor, gave me his best tips at hiring people. And I'm going to give you my best tips for hiring people. And this should be one incredible episode. So let's get straight into it. So the boutique model. Why is it so uncommon for people who go to Goodwill or hunt or they go to the Goodwill outlet or scavenge through yard sales, etc.? Why do so few of them earn $10,000 a month net? And this is the reason. The reason is time. After 4 hours of creative work, you are usually spent. Meaning like reselling is different every single day. You can't actually work all day on it and be productive the whole time. In fact, your productivity drops dramatically after about 4 hours of doing it just because it's creative work. If you were doing the same thing over and over and over again, like photography, you might be able to do photography for 8 straight hours. Usually not, but if you could, it would be more likely if it was the same task over and over and over again, because that thinking part of it really can trip you up and make it very, very difficult. If you are a boutique seller, you probably net 1/3 to 1/2 of the revenue, which is extremely high and unheard of in normal business. If you open a retail store, it's more like 10 to 20% if you're lucky. But some people in reselling earn 30 to 50% net. That means on $20,000 or $30,000 in revenue, you would net $10,000 pre-tax. The capital required is pretty low. You can start with 0. Most people that I know that earn $10,000 or more a month have a budget of around $15K. They don't always use it, but they have that available. So when they find a good deal, they can go ahead and capitalize. And what I mean by a bigger deal might be a car. Okay, so if you want to flip a Camry from $8,000 to $11,000, you need the $8,000 to buy the Camry to flip, right? It takes a little bit of capital to do that. So you do need some capital to make that easier, because the more capital you have, the fewer items you need to reach this goal. You do need some space. Rarely do people do it with less than 100 to 500 square feet. You need some dedicated space for this. Time, very, very high upfront cost of learning all the skills and finding all the stuff. It's also very, very high to maintain a boutique store. You could be one of those people that I know many of that crush it for 1 or 2 months and list 200 to 500 items a week that are $12, $15 that you purchase for $1. That's usually not sustainable. Okay, people who have that model burn out and they end up kind of on a hamster wheel of reselling where they never really get to the next level. And a lot of this has to do with not being able to outsource what you can do to somebody else, right? That's why I want to go over the next level and what it takes to get from a boutique to a different type of model, which we'll go over in just a second. But the stress level is between a 3 and a 6. Out of the models I'm presenting to you, this is probably the least stressful. You can do it by yourself. You don't need anybody telling you what to do. You can do it whenever you want. The thing is, you can't expect a professional level income with a hobby level effort. Okay, if you work on your reselling whenever you want to, that's what people do with their hobbies. If you liked rock climbing, you would just go whenever you can, right? That's not what a person that earns $10,000 a month would do. That's not what physicians or attorneys or accountants do. They don't go to work when they feel like it. They serve their clients X amount of times or their patients, and that's how they earn that type of income. So most people have a hobby type mentality and they do reselling when they can. That is what it is, but it produces hobby level income, which is between $100 a month and $2,000 a month. I would consider that a hobby or part-time income. You're just doing it for fun. But if you want to take it seriously to the next level, you need more of a plan. You need to treat it like myself, where your whole day is planned out like a regular occupation. This is my career, not a hobby. It's not for fun. Okay, this is the most common way to earn $10,000 a month, which is liquidation. Okay, this is more like you're processing $50,000 to $100,000 a month in sales, a little bit more capital intensive. And the most common way to do this is retail arbitrage. Okay, you're going from Walmart to Best Buy to Home Depot to Lowe's looking for deals. You're on online websites like Slick Deals or other websites looking for the deal of the day, using coupons, gift cards, combining all that, buying as many of you can of the same SKU to save time. Now, this is very capital intensive and requires a lot of time up front, and it's a medium to maintain. Not as difficult to maintain as the boutique, and that's why it's more common that people earn $10,000 a month. If you have your processes in place, people can actually help you. I don't know very many liquidation people who do it solo. Usually they don't. They at least have somebody helping them with the accounting because you're doing a lot more volume. Okay, and the stress level is higher. Okay, you're dealing with a lot more money, a lot more capital. Mistakes can be more costly. If you invest $10,000 into one SKU and that SKU tanks, you are out a lot more money than you buying a vintage jacket for $10. You're only out $10. If you buy a pallet of ice cream makers and half of them are broken, you lose a lot more. So there's more risk, but there's more reward. This is where we're going to go over a couple different ideas from Tino. Tino, the Soul Advisor, who's a good friend of mine, and we've been talking for a long time, over 2 years, and brainstorming different ideas. And I want to go over his best tips for hiring somebody. And I'm going to give you some tips from myself, and this should really, really help you get to the next level. So Tino has 5 part-time workers. This information is current as of May 27th, 2019. So I appreciate Tino taking the time to go over his new plan with me, and I'm going to share my ideas with him as well. So he has 5 part-time workers, and the benchmark for pace is Tino's pace. I love that. So why would you expect your workers to be able to outperform you? That doesn't make sense. You care about your business the most. So you need to be able to write down how long it takes you to do certain things. Tino pays based on a benchmark of himself, which is very smart. Both of us are very quick at listing, so it would take your worker some time to get there. My tip on that is I recommend 6 weeks of time to train that person from don't know anything to your own pace. He has somebody dedicated to photography, somebody dedicated to listing, somebody dedicated to customer service, and he pays this person a bit of commission to help them really pay attention, because that's like the final point of contact before it goes to the customer. And answering questions, I've made this mistake of hiring too cheap of a person to handle your customer service. That's one of the reasons why I have so many negative feedback, because I didn't invest enough time into training my customer service person. Next is 4-hour days. This is really smart. Less burnout and turnover. The workers are actually going to like coming to work if it's 4 hours. I don't know if you guys have tried working in an eBay store for more than 4 hours. It is brutal. Starts to get really tough at the end. You're not even that productive towards the end, so it might just be worth it to take a break. And then finally, all his employees are financially responsible for mistakes. Wow, this is a big one. He tells them right up front, if you make a mistake on the size, you make a mistake on the listing, I will deduct the return costs of the item from your pay. Very smart. And when you tie money to something, people all of a sudden start to pay attention. If you play a pickup game of basketball for fun versus a pickup game of basketball for $5, very, very different games. Okay, it matters. So making your employees financially responsible for mistakes, I personally do not do that, but I'm going to add that in. Basically, I just eat a certain level of mistakes and just factor in a defect rate of about 2%. So as long as they make less than 2% mistakes, they don't have to pay for their mistakes. But if I made it so that my workers had to pay for it, they would definitely pay attention a lot more. I think that would increase the quality overall of everything. That being said, I do pay my workers extra money for process improvements. You guys know my virtual assistants get paid $10 extra if they find a process improvement at any time. So that's helping me stay sharp. For me, my contractors don't have a 4-hour day. Usually during the week, one day will be a long day. They'll do 10 hours or 8 hours in one day and make a bulk of their money and on a day that they're super motivated and fresh. But that being said, it is usually just one task when they're doing that. So I have a 50 item a week expectation for my thrifters. So I'm hiring people to go out and hunt for me. I'm also hiring people to do photography for me. My expectation is 250 items per week. That's the same for describing and listing. My customer service, I actually don't have a metric, and that would make sense why my customer service is the weakest part of my endeavor. So again, you can expose yourself by just writing down what your expectations are. And this liquidation model, it gets a little bit more stressful, guys, because you're actually handling more stuff and you usually have people who rely on you for income. So it's a great way to take yourself to the next level. When people say, oh, I'm a perfectionist, or I don't trust other people to do it like me, that means you have an ego problem and you think that you're the best at everything and you want to take the credit for all of this. I don't. Okay, I don't take credit for this YouTube channel. This YouTube channel is successful because everybody watches it and comments and gives me feedback on how to improve it. My stores constantly have people sending me suggestions so that I can improve them. I can't even keep up with how many things that I need to improve in my store. That's free advice from other people. There's no reason for me to take all the credit. I don't understand the hesitation with that. Let other people succeed too. If you're so good at your job, let other people benefit from it, right? Don't be so good at it and not share it with the world. What is the point of that? Okay, next is the third model, and something I'm very interested in, which is private label and wholesale. This is going to require a little bit more capital. I don't think you can do this with less than $5,000. So between $5,000 and $100,000. I know people who have saved $100,000 and are scared that they're going to run out of money building a private label, and it doesn't surprise me. I have successfully funded and executed a Kickstarter. So I wanted to write a book. It cost $10,000 to write the book, get it published, hire the artist to illustrate it for myself, and I raised 12.5, and I was able to execute it for around $8,000 after it was all said and done. I just wanted to have put on my bucket list to have funded a Kickstarter. So it was very fun, very interesting. It was amazing how few of my friends bought a book, right? We're talking about a $10 book. Some of my friends didn't support me and buy the book. So you can really see when people like your idea, it's very different than people paying for your idea. So when you're doing a private label or a wholesale, it may take a lot of money to get a new product started. Something like 17% of all Kickstarters do not ever make it to getting the product out to the customer. That's how hard it is. You could raise $100,000 to make a new toilet seat and run out of money before you produce it. And that's just part of the risk you take when you pledge to a Kickstarter. They may not actually make it to market. That's how hard it is to get something off the ground. So give yourself some credit when you're doing private label. It's hard. Okay, you've got to start from scratch, build the marketing, build the idea. I have a good friend who sold 40,000 cell phone cases on Groupon. Okay, so it costs him $90,000 to make one phone case. Okay, and after 1 year, no one bought the phone case anymore because it was already, they switched the phone design every 6 months. It's very difficult to keep up with that. So he tried it. He ended up making a little bit of money, but it wasn't sustainable. That's part of private label, ups and downs. That's when the iPhone was really catching fire. That was about the iPhone 5. Sales started to really explode. So now every single year, obviously, Apple sales are slowing because we don't really need a better phone. So it depends on what trend you're trying to capitalize on. Private label is a little bit bouncy. Wholesale is not as bouncy. When you're creating wholesale accounts, it's more stable. That means you're taking advantage of companies that are already successful, right? So you find a company, let's say like Oreo, and you figure out how to become a distributor for them. Basically, you go all the way to the top to where Oreos are made, figure out who gets to distribute them, and work your way backwards. And wholesale takes a long time. It's very, very capital intensive, time intensive to get started. And it's still medium to maintain as far as time. Still takes a lot of time to maintain those relationships. You can't just set it and forget it. There's no such thing in this type of business. Once you get it set up, you have to do it. So, and I also need to touch base on something here, which is the concept of marketers ruin everything. This is from Seth Godin. And What that means is marketing is what sells items, right? You just need something, and then the marketing is what determines the cost and how popular it is. When I hear resellers say, I hate marketers, it means you hate yourself. If you're reselling and you sell stuff for a profit, you're actually capitalizing on somebody else's marketing to make that product valuable. You're finding that product for less and arbitraging it for more. So if you don't like marketing, you should not be in reselling, because marketing is a huge part of it, right? How you take your photos is marketing. How you describe your items. You need to love sales. You need to respect salespeople. If you don't respect salespeople and don't respect marketers, you will never be successful, because all of this is just marketing. Marketing is really, really, really important. And when you're looking for companies to buy products in, you want to look for the products that have the best marketing. Okay, that's going to be the most stable. Okay, if you find a company that might potentially run out of money for marketing, that's not a stable company. One perfect example of this would be Coca-Cola. They spend more money on ads than I think. They're probably in the top 100 companies that spend money on advertising worldwide. It wouldn't be unusual for them to remain one of the top 100 largest companies because they're spending the money in marketing. I heard a great reseller tell me that he only invests in brands that are doing super well and are in the Fortune 500. If they're not in the Fortune 500, he doesn't invest in that brand because they may not have longevity. Even being in the Fortune 500 doesn't guarantee that you have longevity. That's how scary this is. It can change at any time. So guys, you'll notice in these three models, please put in the comment section below which model you're going for, that none of them ever have less than a sanity stress level of 3 to 6. It's because running your own business has its own challenges. It's different every single day. It's something that I thrive on. I have to shout out my mastermind group. Bill this morning presented an idea, which is people work to their level of motivation. So if you are commission-based, which I think all people should be, I think janitorial work should be commission-based. Everything should be commission-based. You should be paid on your performance. You shouldn't be allowed to go to work and doesn't matter what you do, you get paid the same. I have a problem with that. Just my soul has a problem with that. I want you to get paid for how efficiently you can do it. If you can go into McDonald's and do the floors in 1 hour and it takes somebody else 4 hours, you should get paid the same. I only care about the performance part. That's how I operate. So for me, working for myself has always made sense because you just make as much as the effort that you put into it. But for other people who are coming from a 9 to 5, where some of the work that you're doing is paid, even though you didn't do the work, it's harder to adapt to being a reseller because when you're a reseller, every single thing you do has a consequence. So it definitely matters. So if you want to join my mastermind group, it's $100 a month. You can join. There's only 100 people in it. Every single morning we talk about ideas and how to improve. We pick a financial goal like this, $10,000 a month, right? And then each month you make steady progress towards it. This is something very interesting. The average person in my mastermind group is 50 years old. Millennials have this sort of entitlement that they just deserve $10,000 a month, but that's not really how it works. It's just whatever the amount of effort that you put into it. I'm a millennial and I don't think I deserve anything. So I don't understand. It's not all millennials, but the fact is we've been spoiled. You know, the generation before myself was maybe the most abundant generation of all time. And so they made my life super easy, even though I'm not necessarily giving the credit to my own parents, but the generation before me, wow, they really did an amazing job. One last stop before I go today, and if you're enjoying this content, like, comment, and subscribe. Most of this is just information that I think is actionable, but I am going to throw in a couple of stories, and I got to repeat this one because Jack Ma, a CEO of Alibaba, one of his assistants was like, Donald Trump wants to meet. Do you want to talk to him? And he was like, okay, set it up. And what they talked about was small business. And I find that fascinating. They were talking about small business, and the conversation had some key points where Jack was saying, and Donald Trump agreed, that money has moved from royalty and monarchies to big business. In the last 100 years, the top 200 U.S. companies have earned more than China combined. So just those 200 companies have made more money than the whole country of China. So it's not like China is taking over. America still dominates. The biggest companies in America still dominate the world economy. But the next trend is for the money to move from these big companies to small entrepreneurs like us. We just need to figure out a way to work together. Okay, if we want to compete with these big companies, we've got to work with each other. There's plenty of money out there. Okay, we just need to figure out how to band together and create pockets of value that can continue to be sustained. But again, these 3 models are really important, guys. You're either boutique, you're looking for things one by one to resell, or you're a liquidation, which meaning you're buying things more in bulk, things that companies are throwing away, and you're reselling them for a profit, or private label and wholesale, you working directly with manufacturers or producing your own work or content. And for me, personally, it took me 2 years to get my first private label set up. It earns me almost $3,000 a month net pre-tax. That's just one item. It took me 2 years to set that up. So it takes a long time to get a company to trust you, to let you be the only person allowed to sell it. Okay, it takes time. If you are working with a big brand, lots of people are allowed to sell it. But you've got to work your way up and become somebody that they trust. They're not just going to give their baby to you if you don't know how to take care of babies. And that's like their whole life. Guys, people are putting their whole blood, sweat, and tears into some kind of company, and you just want to just resell it as a hobby seller. They're not going to give it to you. They want to give their idea and their baby to someone who's going to take care of it and nurture it and turn it into an adult, right? That's the whole purpose of this. So I hope you guys are enjoying this. If you enjoy my content, like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next episode. Take care.